Peace and love, y'all. It's your brother Advis, and we are here with another episode of What's the Word Wednesday, Season 2, Episode 16. So as y'all coming in, as we usually do, I'm going to throw in the current events and all the different topics for today, as well as I'm going to also put up the logo in the background. So other than that, y'all, when y'all come in, let me know how you feeling, what you're doing, and what's the word, as well as y'all let me know how I sound. If I sound okay, if I'm too loud or if I'm not loud enough, just let me know how I sound. I appreciate y'all. I am. Peace and love. Peace and love. All right, let's put that up right now. But speaking of for today, y'all, today we are going to be getting into 3 topics as we usually do. First topic we're going to be getting into is current events. So talking about what is going on currently around us, what is being seen in the news and worldly. So I'll give my perspectives and on that, as well as y'all throw it in the comments as well of what you've seen current event wise. Second, we're going to be talking about nutrition today. At least a little bit what I know. What if any of y'all know? You're always all more welcome to come in and also speak on the topic. And lastly, we're going to be getting into learning what your body needs to work efficiently. Or I say efficiently, but effectively. Either way. Peace and love, brother K. Squire's in the building. How you doing, brother? Good to see you. What's the word? So we're going to give about a few, say 1 more minute, and then we're going to start off with the show song, and we're going to get this show on the road. But appreciate y'all for being here, as well as those who will be seeing this later on Instagram or YouTube. If you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more from your boy. And tune in if you can on Wednesdays at 7:30, roughly sometimes at 8 for the lives. But appreciate it. Had to get that YouTube plug in real quick. But once again, shout out to y'all.
Looking out into the world, what do I see? I see homelessness, classism, and racial hostility.
But yeah, y'all too, let me know. How do I sound right now? Let me know.
And really consider. So let's spark this cycle of liberation inside the healers. I say, you know we can see that well, so you know we can see that well, we have lenses. You know we can see that well, so you know we can see that well, we have lenses. You know we can see that well, so you know we can see that well, we have lenses.
2,
you know we can see that well, so let's
1, 2, 3, let's go, y'all. Alright, let's get into the show song. Once you learn, you can sing along. But let's get it. Run it back. So they be walking around, they be asking and be wondering. So we let them know. And it goes like, what's the word, y'all? What's the word? What's the word, y'all? What's the word? What's the word, y'all? What's the word? We tell them like, what's the word? What's the word? What you heard? We gotta know, yeah, what's the word? Once again, peace and love, y'all. It's your brother Advis, and we are here with another episode of What's the Word Wednesday, Season 2, Episode 16. Let's get those claps in there. So, with that, y'all, we got these topics for today. We're going to get into them, and we're going to speak on a lot of that, whether it comes to, one, being current events. Then we're going to get into talking about nutrition. And lastly, we're going to be talking about learning what your body needs to work effectively. Okay? And all of that is going to come down to us having these conversations, reasonings, and talks. So with that, let's start off with these current events. So once again, if y'all have any off the top of your head, or if you've seen anything that you want to speak on, please let me know and please share those with me. Okay? So, what we got? We're going to have a few current events in the sections of health, as well as some worldly news, kind of, and then lastly, something having to do with the environment to be on the lookout for. So those are the three when it comes to the current events. If y'all have any, throw them in the comments. Appreciate y'all. So first, this comes from ABC News, and the headline reads, Biden to announce U.S. will buy 500 million shots and doses to donate to poor nations. So, article reads, as pressure mounts for the U.S. to share its vaccine/shots surplus with the world, the president has struck a deal with vaccine giant Pfizer to buy another 500 million more doses that would be distributed to low-income countries, according to a person familiar with the plan. We don't know who this person is, but that is the plan right now. Last two paragraphs again, and we'll move to the next one. The deal calls for 200 million doses delivered this year and distributed globally through the vax program called COVAX. That's the program. Another 300 million will be delivered in the first half of 2022. And like I said, that's just a little bit. I'm going to speak on that. But for right now, the president is making a deal to provide and distribute vaccines and shots to other nations that are not able to get to them. We don't know if India will be on that list, whoever. I mean, this is just only the first two paragraphs. I'm not going to go through every single thing that is going to be in there, y'all. So just letting you know. All right. Next one. Once again, this is going down into the health. I'm in the health right now. This one comes from CNN. And this states, with doses at risk of expiration in some states, Johnson & Johnson says it's working to extend the shelf life of its COVID-19 shots. So, the first article is talking about distributing more out to other nations, but within that, the one with Johnson & Johnson, expiration is coming up real quickly, and now they're going to be doing some type of testing on there to extend the shelf life of the vaccine, because it doesn't last that long. So let's see. Let's read into it. 2 paragraphs and we out. So it reads, as some states report they have the Johnson & Johnson shots and doses that are expiring before they get used, the company and federal officials say that they're looking at whether expiration dates can be extended and whether the doses could be put to use elsewhere before they expire. Peace and love. I see the city's nightmares. Peace and love. This is a quote here. It says, we're working very hard both at the federal level and the local level to do everything we can to make sure that these shots can be used and deployed in the very best possible way. Johnson & Johnson chairman and CEO Alex Gorsky, if I'm saying it right, said Wednesday during a Wall Street Journal Tech Health event, speaking on health. The good news is that we got a lot of shots and vaccines out to meet this initial surge in the demand, and now making sure that we get the very possible deployment and allocation in the distribution system gets even more agile, more flexible. Not only here in the United States, between states, but in fact around the world. We'll be will be work that we need to continue to stay focused on the weeks and months ahead. So, with this one, we don't have too much on what they're doing to extend the expiration dates right now, but the idea is that they're going to be pushing this and finding other places to utilize taking these doses wherever they may be. Oh, shouts out to the fam. What's going on? Superb in the building, aka Big Sue. Good to see you, fam. So that's that article talking about the doses. So what's the word? All right, another one in news with the shots. This says, article reads, and this is from NPR. It says, new evidence suggests COVID-19 shots remain effective against variants. So we have more evidence that is being brought to us that is showing that these shots are showing through the tests and through these articles and evidence that they are able to be effective. So let's see. Read 2 paragraphs and we out. First one reads, the emergence of new and more infectious variants of the coronavirus has raised a troubling question. Will the current crop of COVID-19 shots prevent these variants from causing disease? A study out Wednesday in the journal Nature suggests the answer is yes. The research was fairly straightforward. Scientists took blood from volunteers who have received the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 shot and looked at the levels of neutralizing antibodies, the kind that prevent a virus from entering cells. Because basically, for a virus to continue to live and progress, it needs to host a live cell and take over that host, and now it becomes a host. It cannot live outside of a host cell. So that is how you would attack and divert a virus. It cannot attach to a host in a live cell. But that's what it says there. The article is talking about a journal in Nature that speaks to saying how these are effective. More in particular, the Johnson & Johnson, which has been in the news for a number of different things as well. So, again, take all of this with a grain of salt and face value, and make sure do your own research on it. But this one was from NPR. All right. Next one, in health, which is it caught my eye, and I wanted to speak on it since we're going to be getting a little bit more with nutrition and things. There's an article, it reads, and this is from NPR. It says, women now drink as much as men. Not so much for pleasure, but to cope. So, it's an interesting headline. First paragraph reads, Victoria Cooper thought her drinking habit in college were just like everyone else's. Shots at parties, beers while bowling, sure. She got more refills than some and missed classes while nursing hangovers, but couldn't have a problem, she thought. Yep. Because of what my picture of alcoholism was, old men with brown bags in it and a parking lot. That was her perspective of what she's seeing. Peace and love to the brother Fred Words, Fred Wizard in the building. So, I'm going to get just to one of the statistics on it, and then after that, we're going to move past it. So, it says, for nearly a century, women have been closing the gender gap in alcohol consumption binge drinking, and alcohol use disorder, aka AUD. What was previously a 3-to-1 ratio for risky drinking habits, men versus women, so 3 men to 1 woman, is closer to 1-to-1 globally. And this was done in 2016, this analysis. So you can imagine now. So before it was 3 men to 1 woman when it came to drinking, overly drinking. Now it's a ratio of 1-to-1, or nearly, it says close to 1-to-1. So whatever y'all may be doing when it comes to that and drinking and doing this, you know, make sure you do it in a safe fashion, know your limit, and make sure that you find yourself and you got your plans for however you're going to be doing this. But in this headline is just showing that it's not necessarily for the pleasure of drinking that women are doing it. Now it's used as another coping mechanism. So just be careful what you indulge in. That's more I can come from this. But that's another thing in news for that right there, y'all. If y'all have any questions, throw them in there. But it definitely is new, brother. All right. Next one. This one, I've seen this surfacing a lot. I didn't want to necessarily speak on it 2 weeks ago, but I think I'm going to go ahead and speak. We're going to speak on it now. But the next headline, this is having to do more so within the U.S., and this has to do with policies and regarding gender, sexual orientation. So this comes from MSN News, but specifically The Hill. And it says DOJ, which I think of Department of Justice, says it can vigorously defend exemptions to anti-LGBT discrimination laws for religious schools. So previously there was things going on about there being anti-LGBT laws being passed and it be causing this discrimination. So this is talking about specifically within religious schools. Let's read these 2 paragraphs and again we out. So first one reads, the Department of Justice said in a court filing this week it can vigorously defend an exemption to anti-LGBT discrimination laws for religious schools amid a lawsuit over funding for such institutions. The filing Tuesday noted that the DOJ's ultimate objective is to defend the statutory exemption and its current application by the Department of Education, which is being sued by 40 LGBT students. The students who attend conservative religious schools are suing the department for providing funding to colleges and universities that they say have discriminatory policies. The schools in the lawsuit, Hunter versus Department of Justice, argue that they have the First Amendment right to promote their own religious beliefs on sexuality and gender. Now, like I said, only the 2 paragraphs and we continue on. But basically, there is going to be, or is ongoing right now, that the Department of Justice as well as the Department of Education is being sued for discriminatory policies, especially within these conservative schools that have different religious affiliations. Once again, it's just another thing to keep note of on top of all that we got going on and all that's happening. So that's why we staying aware on these things. All right, we got 2 more and then we're out with the current events portion of these things. If y'all have any, please throw them in the comments. Please let me know. You know, this is all a community aspect, community, you know, connection and work. So please, feel free. What's going on, Kundan? Nice to see you. Peace and love, as well as what's the word. So let's see.
Well, son,
the next one
is
from ABC News.
It's in fact a marathon.
And the article title reads, nearly 8,000 people to return to work after state offers cash incentives. So right now we're in the midst still of the pandemic, but a lot of different things are being brought to light, as well as some folks have actually been making more when it comes to, or not presents, but people have been making more money being on unemployment versus where they will work of their normal job. So to get a lot of that and get a lot of people to come back into the workforce, the state in particular, Colorado, is giving these incentives to have people come back. So let's read a little bit into this. I see you in here, Kundan, and I'm gonna get to you, brother. I just wanted to finish up these last articles, and I got you. So first one, paragraph reads, nearly 8,000 people in Colorado have applied for a state program that gives up to $1,600, that's $1,600 in incentive payments to unemployed people who return to work full time. So this has nothing to do with part-time, this is full-time. Next one, it says, in less than 3 weeks, so this is coming up. In less than 3 weeks, it's already been out. The Colorado Jumpstart program was announced. The state's Department of Labor and Employment reported that it had received 7,953 claimants as of Monday. And want to know, okay, how is this happening? It's being funded by the Coronavirus Relief Fund. So it's coming, that came from the CARES Act that we got back March 2020. So to be eligible for the first half of their payment, they have to be working approximately for 4 weeks, so for a month, and they have to be eligible for the remaining half of another 8 weeks, according to the state's labor department. So basically, in Colorado, they're giving incentive to people to go back to work because, you know, they need the workforce, people to come back. So they're putting these incentives out, but you have to meet the criteria, just like a lot of us had to meet the criteria to get the stimulus check. So this is Colorado's effort to do so. And lastly, y'all, for the news, and we have the brother come in, or I should say we'll have Kundan come in and have their point to give. We have very interesting, and this has to do with space. Like I said, it has to do with what's going on really outside within nature. So again, this comes from NPR, and now it's talking about how to see the Ring of Fire on Thursday. So tomorrow. But for those in other different places, it's probably happening today. So I don't know. Or you get what I mean. So you're wondering what you mean by the Ring of Fire. So basically, I'll read these 2 paragraphs and we out. It says, early risers across the northern hemisphere may see what looks like a ring of fire in the sky Thursday morning as the moon passes between the earth and the sun. So we're almost talking about is an eclipse, is a ring of fire, which basically it is. The solar eclipse expected around sunrise will appear that way because the moon is at or near the most distant points in its elliptical orbit around the Earth right now. So when it passes between us and our nearest star, it will block out just part of the sun, like it usually does. A total solar eclipse happens when the moon covers up the entire sun so that only a haze of light around the darkened moon is visible. So if y'all looking for to see some type of, you know, naturally event happening, so for tomorrow in the beginning of the day, I don't know how early it's going to be, but the moon is going to be blocking the sun and it's going to look like a ring of fire. You know, I would give y'all the looks here. I'll let y'all see here. This is what it looks like. So saying it's going to look something like this tomorrow. So if any of y'all like any events like that, just be ready and up. I don't know. Usually the sun gets up around 5:45. So roughly you'll see it around that time, 6 a.m. So if y'all wanted to, boom, that's what's going on for tomorrow. But other than that, y'all, that is all the news that I have. I think Kundan has something that they would like to add. So I'm going to add in Kundan and to speak on some news. But other than that, that's all the news I have. If y'all have any more, please drop it in the comments and let me know. But let's see, y'all. Just moving some stuff around. What's going on, Kundan? What's the word? How are you?
What's the word? Yeah, I was just watching a video about Vice President Kamala Harris, who was telling Guatemalan refugees who might potentially come over to the border to the United States.
Yeah.
Basically, she said the exact same thing that, you know, Donald Trump would have said, which is don't come.
I'm not surprised. I did see something like that in the headlines. I didn't touch on it because I didn't get to read a little bit more into it, but I'm not surprised. We've gotten to speak a while back on her track record and some of the things that she has done. I mean, you can say both, you know, rightly so and wrongly so, but at this point, a lot of politics and a lot of officials do not surprise me with the talking points and the things that they do. So, not surprised.
Yeah, I'm not either. Especially especially like egregious or clueless, because it's, you know, Guatemala is in the situation it is because the United States destabilized it with coup after coup and sterilizing the indigenous women over there and doing all these experiments, and it's a mess over there, and a lot of it is caused by the United States. So that's why it's so, like, I guess, hurtful that you would say something like that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I mean, with her background too, of her being from, or her mom at least being from outside of a quote unquote, you know, third world country.
That's the weird part too. She's an immigrant herself, so or the daughter of immigrants.
So, you know, like I said, I'm not surprised. You said the same thing. Not surprised at all. But you know, there's something that's just to bring to light so people can know, like, why others have certain perspectives on her that may not necessarily be positive or, in a sense, similar to people who root for her wholeheartedly. Can do no wrong.
Yeah.
But you can't get stuck in that. But appreciate you sharing that. Did you have anything else with news?
Yeah, that was the only thing I was looking at today that was striking for me. Yeah, that was the main thing. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that so much. Now, if you want to stay on, you're more than welcome. You know, so the next topic that we're going to get into is talking about nutrition.
Oh.
And speaking about what nutrition is, why we should be aware of what and how to use nutrition, and what can it do and bring you when it comes to the last point we'll be talking about, helping your body work effectively. But we're going to get to that in the next half. But you see, again, y'all, if y'all not catching the drift, Instagram or YouTube, I put these topics together on purpose. But before we do, I want to give us at least a grounding on definitions and what we're looking at when it comes to the word nutrition. So we're not too much all over the place, but once again, it's always, we're grateful for all the thoughts. Brother said, I had a donut a few days ago. School me, son. Brother, you know, classes, I'm just playing, no classes session. I'm just adding a perspective, brother. You take it and leave it. That's how it is at the end of the day. I'm not correct, or I'm not the authority on anything. I'm just sharing my thoughts and what I come across. That's all. So if it works with you, it works with you. If it doesn't, do your research. That's all I'm saying. And when I mean research, at least look it up. That's it. All right. So I'm going to give 2 different sites for definitions. First one I'm going to do is Webster's. And I know we had a convo, you know, yesterday about the English language and these dictionaries, but we're going to use this as a tool to help us understand what we're going to be talking about. So in Webster's dictionary, it says nutrition is the act or process of nourishing or being nourished. The second one says get adequate nutrition before and during the race, which is supposed to be, again, they pair this stuff with like a sentence. So they'll try to give you the definition, but then they give you a sentence and it's not close. But basically, it's the act of nourishing yourself or being nourished in this one. Now, the second one, I like to grab from the free dictionary. Yes, the dictionary is free, but then at the same time, that's its name. But it has different definitions when it comes to nutrition, so that's why I like it, or any definition. So, and then on this one, it's giving me a whole description of things. Woo, we got info here. But from the free dictionary, it says nutrition is, that basically is giving me this. It says good nutrition can help prevent disease and promote health. The 6 categories of nutrients that the body needs to acquire for food are the following. They need protein, carbohydrates, you need fat, fibers, vitamins, minerals, and of course, water. So in this case, again, nutrition being that whole idea of the act of nourishing yourself and being nourished. But when you think of nourished, what does that also mean? That basically means to provide yourself with things that will help you feel good as well as feel better, whatever it may end up being. So it's an act. You do this thing. But when it comes to nutrition, I also wanted to throw some few facts on nutrition. So I was looking at some stuff. So I got to come with something, y'all. You know, I'm just not going to be just saying these things and don't have something at least for you. One of the things that you can do that is very helpful. Let's see. What about that donut? Bro, you so goofy. Hold on. I got you. This is one thing with that. So one way, since this will be for you then, brother, one way for you to figure things out with that donut or anything else, a great way to be able to tell is read the nutrition facts on the back of whatever you get. I know with your donut, you didn't get a nutrition fact. The dude who sold you the donut didn't say, oh, here's the paper of nutrition facts. But just know that
But
with
you
a
can
lot
look
of
it up.
exactly, you can look it up and you get the nutritional value that comes in it. So to figure a lot of that stuff out and what you need for your daily portions and things of all of that, how that works, I mean, you have different websites to look up. I mostly try to go to the ones that say that is for us to know this stuff. So I look some stuff on the CDC. I look up stuff at the World Health Organization, which is WHO, and, you know, get these done and figure them out. But y'all let me know before I get any further to give y'all some more stuff with this. When you hear the word nutrition, what are the things you hear? What is the first word or phrase that may come from your mind when you think of the word nutrition?
So, observing from the definitions, it seems like they're only focused on, physical nutrition, which is food. But like when I think about nutrition, I often also think about other ways we nourish ourselves and our bodies, like psychological nutrition and emotional nutrition and mental emotions and nutrition, like what we feed our minds, like the books we read, the media we consume. I think about that too, and how that in turn impacts our physical health, yeah.
I definitely agree with you with that. It's, one dimensional, but for those just like yourself that's able to see beyond and look not only at the one dimensional definition of it, you're also able to see that it actually is a blueprint. And what I mean by the blueprint is, even though the definition says about to be nourished or nourished by something is a little vague, you can still pair that with all the other five senses. Because when you think about it's the nourishment of your body experiencing all these other different senses. And if you want to be very clever and creative with these things, just like there is a nutritional facts for whatever you buy, you can be funny and be like, when you hear a particular song, you can be like, well, the nutritional facts in that song not necessarily is good for my mental health in this way, because not only the sound, but possibly the message that's coming across with it. So same thing with what you see. If you want to think of a nutritional fact, and I'm going to knock y'all out with this one too. I'm just playing. Not knock y'all out, but you get it. When you watch TV, in the corners of your screen, I don't know if they still do it now, they have TV ratings. Use that as a nutritional fact from when you're watching something. So if you know you're about to watch something that says rated M or rated X or rated PG-13 or whatever the particular show you're watching, you know what you're getting yourself into. Are you ready for that? Are you ready to digest and have that nourish you? But in this particular case, with nutrition, yes, it's talking about more so the physical nutrition of what you intake into your body, because of the fact that even though it is an adage or a saying that is overused a lot, if you really think about it, you are what you eat. Most definitely. You're definitely what you eat. And the reason why is because whatever you eat, you put into your body, it processes inside of your body. The waste excretes out that what it's not needed, and then you metabolize and use what you have eaten, and it goes to different portions of your body. So basically, if you want to think about it like this, the food is fusing with you. So if you eat raw meat, all these other different things, not properly cooked well and stuff like that, it's going to process with you, and it's going to affect different parts of your cells and body differently because of the fact that it came out raw. Oh, we got a legend in the building, y'all. Peace and love to the brother, Def Mass, a.k.a. Definite Mass. This brother is dope. So peace and love to you. I see you in here, nephew. Good to see you in here too. But it's very vital that you know what you are eating and what you are getting into when it comes to your nutrition and how you eat. So I'm not gonna come here and tell you that, oh, I know every single thing that goes on and how you should be eating and this is what you should. No, that's why when we get to the last portion of this, we're going to talk more of how that applies to you as a person and how you listen to your body. But there's very similar breakdowns of types of nutrients that you need, like I spoke on earlier. Oh, anytime, fam. You know that. Much love to you always. We just need to make sure the main portions that you need, the nutrients in your body, as long as you're getting you some type of protein, some type of carbohydrates, some type of fats. When we hear the word fat, sometimes we think, oh, that's just terrible. No, there's a such thing as there is good fats that is needed.
Yeah, there's
that's
a whole conspiracy around that too.
Yes,
which we can talk about later. Yeah.
Yes, and then from those fats, you also have fibers. So I mean, that's like your wheats and literally your raisins, all these things that help with the fiber. Then you have your vitamins. So if you're taking either the, not the droplets, but the tablets of vitamins, but then also vitamins in the foods that you eat, and minerals, the same thing. And then the basic thing that you can end up doing, yes, drinking that water. Very vital. It helps clean things out. It may not be the best tasting, but there's other ways for you to do that and get it done. But now we get into this, since we at least broke it down a bit, and now we're talking about it from the physical of how you're eating.
Yeah,
we can talk about the other sides.
Yeah.
Yes, we can talk about the other ones, which we will. But now the question is, why worry about nutrition? Why? Why should we worry about this? Why should this be an issue to worry about? And what do you have on that, brother? You got anything? I mean, Kun, you got anything?
I mean, it's the basis of life. It's how it impacts everything. Like there is even the gut-brain connection. So it's what you eat actually impacts your brain as well. And there's a direct connection. There's this long nerve called the vagus nerve that goes from the brain all the way into the gut, and it's one.
Yes.
It's all connected. It's just like one long, like there is no break to that nerve, So, and then what you eat, therefore, impacts, the way you move, the way you think. So it's going to impact your relationships, and and if you don't have a physical, healthy life,
yes,
then you can't really have relationships. If you're in bed all day, if you're bedridden, right, you can't make money, like if you're not, eating properly.
Yes.
Right? And it's not even just about what you eat, but even when you eat, because there's not just about the nutrition facts, but even like the digestion rates of each of the foods. Like you were talking about raw meat earlier, like even cooked meat takes a long time to digest, like 30 hours. Raw meat would be like 40 hours to digest. It's like ridiculous. It's gonna like just sit there as poop that will never poop,
Yes.
And eventually it will rot in your stomach and it become like a graveyard in your stomach where it will, all the fungi and all of that will be moldy and start growing, and that's how you have bad health.
Yes.
That's one of the ways. Yeah.
And that's an excellent point, because of the fact, not even fact, but because from the perspective is, if you're not able to even move your body and get moving around, you're not able to even have those daily functions. So when we see folks, which now I'm going to get into some, at least a bit more statistics now since we're speaking on this, when you're not able to move your body and your eating habits and your nutrition is poor, that's where you have a lot of these folks that are on different TV shows, and we have a big statistics when it comes to obesity and even being morbidly obese. I know there's TV shows that's done on TLC, all of these different TV shows that talk about people that's over 500, 600. I even seen somebody who's 1,000 pounds, and how
Wow.
their daily living looks completely different from what you will see on the norm for a quote unquote normal person. And it's to a point where it's close to, not saying unlivable, but it's so impossible for them to do just basics of getting up, walking, and moving, get tired only taking 4 or 5 steps, or they have to be moved with big machinery just to get from place to place. So
Wow.
the statistic I want to at least give, and there's a few that I want to at least put on, but this is as of right now of today, which is June 9th, from the WHO, World Health Organization. They say that obesity has reached epidemic proportions globally, with at least 2.8 million people dying each year as a result of being overweight or obese. Once associated with high income countries, so like the US and other places that have a lot of money, obesity is now also prevalent in low and middle income countries. One way people use to measure all of this, and you're wondering, okay, like how we're getting all of this, people use the BMI, which is the body mass index, to figure out the whole idea, either if you're overweight or you're obese or you morbidly obese. Yes, there has been critiques that, again, it is, you know, a man-made white man
accurate,
system that doesn't accurately give you that. But if you go back not only within human history and you know what the different cycles, if you want to talk about hunter-gatherers and things of that nature, and how food and things were digested and used and stuff of that nature, is because of the survival. I mean, in this point in time, you'll see it. You'll see if people, their uncomfortness, especially if they're feeling a certain way, or how much they end up weighing. I'm not saying, again, yes, there's a whole thing with the body positivity movement and all of that too. I mean, that's all well and done. But you have to make sure too, even if that's how you feel, you don't know really truly what's going on inside, but you can feel that there's extra weight on you for you to do certain activities and things. You got to end up, instead of saying I could do this, now you got to think 4 or 5 things before to even get into that activity. As well as it even says, and I got some more, I had to throw some on y'all, bro. But another thing that it ends up saying is,
you were talking also like body positivity. A lot of the necessity for that is, you know, a lot of the fitness industry, which is supposed to be for your health,
yes,
is instead focused on vanity and, you know, and shaming people and telling people, oh, you know, you shouldn't, you know, be a fat ass or whatever, you know, and saying things like that.
yes,
And then that's why people start going into extremes. And then the weight loss industry combined, they start selling, you know, unethical products like basically laxatives. And literally teens, they believe this stuff and they're eating these laxatives and they're shitting fire, literally.
yeah.
You know, their buttholes are literally burning from eating these. And like, but like the poor, you know, the poor girls, they believe it, you know, especially teenage girls, you know, and they get traumatized for life, you know. So that's the other extreme, you know, that's also going on. Yeah.
Once again, media being very prevalent in this widespread of when it comes to reporting and giving this information out to us. But another few things that I wanted to give when it came to these percentages too, just so people can get an idea of how grave this is, or how not, I won't say grave, but how much, like I said, this is almost a pandemic in itself, and people's not really taking this into consideration. But a few things, I'm going to just read them. One, it says more than 1/3 of adults in the United States are obese. So that's 1/3. If you don't know what 1/3 is, that's 1.33 point of the population. And it says in here, in the United States, it says 36.5 of adults are obese. And then another 32.5% of adults are overweight. Overall, it says more than 2/3 of adults are overweight or obese. So that's 2/3. Now we went from 1/3, now it's 2/3. What's going on, brother? Chairman Dallas in the
What's up,
building. Good to see you.
Chairman Dallas?
Yes. Now the second thing I wanted to add to that, it says, because of that, just thinking, adults already 1/3, if not almost 2/3. You would think, okay, now where's that going to go? Next one, obesity affects 1 in 6 children in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
So it says around 17% of American children ages 2 to 19 are obese. That's more than 12.7 million American children. 1 in 8 preschoolers are obese. They say the good news, though, is that is falling, you know, in the recent years, which is great. But when you have nutrition that is not conducive for your health, and that's passed down, whether if it's from a cultural aspect of the foods that you eat, and that's from parents, and it's passed down to children, and you see a whole family, one may be overweight, then another one isn't, then one is, and another one isn't. This is a perpetual cycle that is taught. So when one person in a family may be experiencing this, it's very likely that it's going to have an effect on the children. Because not only because children are very observational, that's how they learn, but they rely on their parents, they rely on the family members to provide them with that nourishment. And if that nourishment leads to the same route of them being, you know, overweight, and especially child obesity, because that also brings about a lot of other issues besides health. You get the bullying, you get just the confidence, all these different other issues that come along with it. And you just have to be, I'm not saying, oh, I know what all is again, but you just have to be aware of this because it is a huge thing. And the reason why we have a lot of folks, especially overweight and obese, is because of the way our society has been set up. We're not in the whole mindset of when we were eating a lot back away when, is because we were outrunning things. We're literally outliving things. We don't know when we're going to get the next meal. So that's why we bulk up, or we will bulk on how much we eat, so then it can help us. Because again, one of those nutrients, fats, that we say is bad, when we didn't get no places and we ended up having to do intermittent fasting, or we're fasting because we didn't have any way to get food, that would be one of the few first things that would end up getting burned. If it's not the muscles, but it will end up being the proteins or the fat. So you just have to be careful when it comes to, you know, what you're using. So yes, you can still eat your meats. Yes, you can still eat whatever you want to put on your plate, once again. But there's a such thing as having a daily balance and a daily value of what you should be eating. Because if you do not read the nutritional facts on the back of your foods, you do not see the daily values on a lot of the different foods, whether even it comes from sugar, candy, whatever it may end up being. And you was like, oh, I can have like 4 or 5 Kit Kat bars or whatever it is, not looking in the back and see that the daily value for one of those packets that you get is 30%. And then you done already ate 4 or 5. It's that 30% times 4. That's already 120%. You're over your daily value. And little things like that continues to add on to this thing again, going into either being overweight, obese, or morbidly obese. The last point I wanted to make on this, and then still continue a bit with it, is that with that reason why nutrition is very important and why we really need to focus on it, because last point, obesity is linked to more than 60 chronic diseases. So if you are overweight or obese, your risk for dozens of diseases and conditions are higher. These conditions include, but do not limit, there's only a few. Type 2 diabetes. For those who don't know, type 2 diabetes, that's where it gradually came into. There's folks who have it hereditary,
Is
in their
type 2 the one which you need insulin?
You still need, yes. Yes.
That's the type 1 you don't need, right? Yeah, I think type 2 is the one that you need. I think.
Yeah, because type 2 is brought about circumstances. Because type 1 is more so that that's already been passed down. It already comes. You're already born, like you come with that because it's somewhere in the family. Type 2, it can become an issue because of what you do eat, and you could end up just becoming diabetic. So, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, stroke, cancer, and there's many others, but those are the few known that are high up on that list for known diseases that are very high that cause a lot of mortality. But
yeah, my uncle was able to reverse his diabetes. It's hereditary. Within 6 months, just through nutrition. I helped him out. He lives with me, so I kind of guided him into what to eat and stuff.
Beautiful.
And I even made him a green smoothie every day, and I cooked for him every day for 6 months. Yeah, and he was just a little bit over the limit, and now he's back down to normal. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So there's a lot more that's up here. If y'all wanted to know where I was getting some of this from, I got it from an online magazine source. It's called Healthline. So healthline.com has some facts. I also got some from the CDC as well as the World Health Organization. But next point I wanted to add with nutrition, and we can end up wrapping and going into the next point I wanted to speak on is then how do you go about creating a nutritional plan for yourself?
Yep.
So how do you go about doing that? We talked about why. Now we need the action and knowing what's the plan, how we're going to do that. So I'm going to give you just from my own perspective. I'm not saying I'm the best. Again, I like to say that because I got detractors. I got people saying, well, you don't know what you talk. Again, I am not a licensed of anything. The only thing I'm licensed
and it's different for each person anyways. You know,
exactly.
That's why you have to do your own research for your body.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which, speaking of, you said of body, I was trying to figure this out today. For those who do not know, there is 3 distinctive body types that is known to at least human man that they've came to know. And they use this classification within what they call somatotypes. So it has to do, anything that you see that says somatic or has that soma, it has to do with body. So anything that is a disease that attacks the body is a somatic disease. But in this particular case, the 3 different body types, and this both goes for men, women, and all those that all identify where it may be until scientists will ever find other ones. But the main 3 that we know, we have the ectomorph, which is more taller, more slender and skinny, just body frame. We have the mesomorph. The mesomorph is more so that in between they're not very round, they're not very, skinny, but they're just right there in the middle, fit, active looking, because meso in a way is like that almost the in between. So that's the mesomorph. I'll show some pictures so if y'all see what I'm talking about. And then lastly, the other type that we have, and peace and love to the brother West Coast Ninja in the building, we have, is the endomorph. And the endomorph is more so those folks who are a little bit more stocky, a little bit more rounded a bit, but have some, like I'm not gonna say meat in their shoulders, but it's a little bit more broader shoulders. But I'm going to give y'all the view so y'all can see what I'm talking about. But these are the 3 different types.
Endomorph, ectomorph, and mesomorph?
Yes.
That's fascinating because
Hold on,
in
wait,
our
wait a
Hindu
minute.
Ayurvedic system
Yes.
of food nutrition, there's also three types of bodies. Uh, I forgot the names. There's like Bada and there's like two other types, but we base it more on the heat each type of body produces
Yes.
rather than the shape. So that's interesting.
Mm.
Yeah.
And then also for the ladies, or those who do, I also have some for you so you can see also. So for the ladies, the same thing.
Mesomorph. Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it's very similar. It's the tall again for the ectomorph,
Hmm.
the athletic and lean appearance for the mesomorph, and then for the endomorph, a little bit more rounder and softer. So now you're asking, where am I going with this? Okay, why talk about these body types? Well, just like we're talking about how do you create a nutritional plan for yourself, one of the first great things is to be able to identify, one, your body type as much as you can, because there are specific ways and people have other different resources for those different body types. But two is for you to at least get a starting point to know where, okay, how can I effectively impact my particular quote unquote body type or my particular, person and being. That's just one aspect to add to the layer of your plan. Now, next part, when you're thinking of, okay, now creating this health plan for yourself, you got to look back to, honestly, it could be culturally for you. So what foods that you would culturally end up eating and you had access to,
Hmm.
and how that would work for you. So some people, it's a little bit harder, especially to wherever you live to, for to get certain foods and fruits or whatever that you can put into your system. There is a such thing of what we call food deserts. So a lot of folks
Hmm.
literally only have a McDonald's jacket, all this fast food and other
Hmm.
processed foods. So they don't necessarily have the first and the foremost front of places to go get a lot of nutritional things, a lot of foods. And on top of that, and not being able to get that, most people only remember and think that the way for them to get their nutrition and facts is as long as they follow the nutritional pyramid, which that in itself, I would tell y'all now, is
It's
not.
not accurate.
It is not
It's
accurate
it's
at
kind of
all.
totally wrong. And
It
there's a
is.
whole conspiracy behind that too, with the sugar industry paying for it and claiming that you should eat more carbohydrates, when in reality you should eat more fats than carbohydrates. And you was talking about the obesity epidemic. Funny thing is, after the government recommended more carbohydrates over fat, the obesity epidemic happened after that. Like it increased because of that.
Again, y'all.
And yeah,
So,
especially diabetes as well also. And it was all based on wrong data about uh, heart disease in other countries, and the doctor apparently, kind of knew that the data was skewed, but he went ahead and pushed it anyways. Yeah,
see, that's another thing, y'all. So that's
yeah.
why you have to be very careful. Because I knew as a kid, even I was in preschool. I don't know if any of y'all were able to experience this, but even in preschool, they would have pictures all over the place about the nutritional pyramid and how you need to eat this amount and have this on your plate, 40%, whatever this is. Make sure you get your milk, your cheeses, your daily grains, your daily this and daily that. But what ends up happening is it didn't speak about also portioning, of like really giving you the right
Hmm.
portion, as well as once we come to find out, y'all, when y'all learn about these foods, there's different documentaries. I'm not going to shock any of y'all that you look at, you even put a documentary right in there, but there's other documentaries that goes to show you that what we've been originally thought and taught when it comes to health and nutrition has not necessarily been true. And what the Kundan was saying earlier is that they have been paid off from these corporations and companies to continue. Once again, a lot of things you think, oh, it doesn't have to be all about money.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, a lot of things and decisions that are made
Yeah.
is based off of money.
Especially since food still has to taste good if it's going to be low fat. So
Yes.
what do you replace it with? More sugar to make it taste good. Right.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
now back to this plan. So now that's the other part is learning
Yeah.
now, all right, what will be your portion of how you're going to break down things.
Mm.
So going again, those basic 6 nutrients, I should say, that you need, whether it comes to, again, the proteins, the fats, the fibers, the minerals, the water, and I know I am lacking on the last one, but all of those you can find in different types of foods. So look at your diet or look at what you already eat right now and you build from there. So this doesn't mean, okay, let me just go throw everything out that I'm eating right now, Advis and Kundan, because you're telling me that, oh, this is everything I taught was terrible. And no, that's not it. Because I would tell you this myself, through my journey that I've been going through when it comes to nutrition and changing up the foods and stuff that I eat, I know I've annoyed not only my mom, but my grandmother and a lot of other people because of the foods that I've eaten. And the thing is, the reason why that happened is, and it's going to be on the last part of your learn from your body, but I started noticing the changes and it was all gradual. This wasn't just one day I was just like, you know what? I'm going to give up eating chicken. Boom. Or one day I'm going to end up, I'm done with turkey. No, this was a gradual thing. So when you start with something, you start gradually. You have to, because if not, just like any type of drug or anything that you get into, and I'm not saying drug, medicine, whatever you have, if you just go cold off of it, you're going to experience some type of side effects. And you'll be surprised that you can have that happen with foods. Yes, you can. And it could be vice versa. When you're not on that food anymore, you've gotten it out, and you take a bite of it again, you'll experience some certain thing because your body's gotten adjusted to a different type of food and way that you eat with your nutrition. So with stuff like that is find a base of what you already eat and you build around that. And another plan to add with that is, if you're not too sure of how to set that up for yourself and what you're already eating, you got all these other different types of diets and other places that you can get some type of perspective from. They have the high, low carb diet. They have literally the keto diet. They have all these other different names. I can't think of every single. I'm not gonna think of every single one. The paleo diet. The thing is, you can take key points of different recipes and foods that you like from these places and do it. I will say that you don't necessarily want to keep yourself on a diet forever, because that's something that's not sustainable forever.
Yeah,
that's just
and that's
something
most
for
likely
that
an
moment.
agenda anyways, because they want to get paid for it. They're selling you this,
Yes.
So that's why, again, you have to learn about your own body and do according to what's right for your body.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And yes, I know we're only speaking of nutrition from the physical, but again, that's what we're using to move around with stuff, because this body, yes, have multiple different other senses, and we're going to get into that a little bit later in the last part. But when it comes to finding out how that works for your plan for you, again, you got to figure out your body type. It helps to let you know. 2, literally figuring out culturally or whatever that is for your family, what do you normally eat? 3, making a baseline using that, so that 4, you can use these different types of diets and other resources to figure out maybe different plans and things to eat, so that 5, you can start implementing and seeing some of the differences. So you see that, oh, dang, the food that I was eating before, I had like half of my plate was just meat and like 20% was like rice, and then like 10% was greens. So now you're like, okay, I started noticing I eat a lot of protein and I don't have a nice balance of greens, fruits, or any type of vegetables. All right, now let me go ahead and start figuring out, what if I go 40%? What if I go this percentage? And learning the portion of how much I should be having. And then, yes, I get to the whole calorie counting and all these other different things. That's if you want to go further into more when it comes to nutrition, but it depends on also 6, what is your objective when it comes to what do you want to get out of nutrition and eating? Do you want to lose weight? Do you want to maintain? Do you want to clean your body? Do you want to be able to just keep on weight to look bigger? Whatever your particular projective, but objective is, you need to also put that into your plan. So how you do it is, yes, you got to line out all those different things. And there's many more other ones that you can, but I'm telling you, it's important. Reason why is the more that you look into your nutrition, yes, it has an effect on not only your body, but the way that you think, what you hear. It's a whole system that works together. That's what a system is. Not one thing functions by itself. It has a specific function that overall helps with the full system, because every piece of your body is playing a part. So if you feed the body what it needs, then your mind's going to be able to do what it needs. Your feet, your hands, your ears, everything. So it does really start with what you ingest. And then from there, going into all the other senses, which we're going to get into now. But do you have anything else you want to add on this, Kundan, about nutrition?
I just wanted to add one thing, because this really simplified things for me. Because there's so much like contradictory information out there, right? Like you said, some people say, fat is bad for you, and some people say, meat is bad for you, and some people say meat is good for you, right?
Yes.
All of these different things. And then even little things like, gluten's bad for you, gluten's good for you, right? Whatever. And then, for a long time, they were saying how brown rice is good for you because it has more fiber, right?
Yeah.
But then again, there was a scientist who said, oh, but brown rice has more lectins in it, which is the poison that the plant produces to protect itself. A lot of nightshade plants, like tomatoes and potatoes, also have a lot of lectins in it. A lot of nuts also, like cashew nuts and all that. So I'm like, oh my God, it's like, everything's bad for you. You can't eat anything. At some point, you're gonna like tear your hair out, right?
Yep.
But what really simplified it for me was the realization that it's not so much about what I eat, but more about when I eat. And I discovered this when I was like really sick, and I didn't want to be ever be sick again in that kind of way.
Yes.
That year I got sick like 3 or 4 times that year, and I was like really sick of being sick. So I started really doing a deep dive, and so there's a relationship between the digestion rate and the water content of every food type. So, and that can really simplify things, like, so, for example, fruits take only 3 hours to digest, but it has so much water in it. It's mostly water. Vegetables take about, raw vegetables take about 6 hours to digest, And grains and lentils, they take about, and nuts, of course, they take about 12 to 18 hours to digest. And then meat takes about 20 to 30 hours to digest. So, and if you look at all of these foods, like the longer they take to digest, the less water they have, right?
Yes.
So for me, and the reason why this is important is because a lot of people, they keep eating and eating, especially the heavier foods with very little water, which means you're not giving your body time to digest, and that's when it starts rotting, and you have that graveyard that I'm talking about. So, and of course, the rates that I'm giving is average rates, right? Because it depends on also your particular microbiome, because that's the bacteria that digests your food.
Yes.
And 90% of your body, by the way, is not even your own cells. It's like, bacteria and viruses and fungi. So there's a delicate ecosystem inside. So for me, that really simplified it, because I'm like, oh, so now what I do is like, I eat cooked meals that are grains and lentils about only once a day.
Okay.
And the rest of the time I eat a lot of like raw fruits and vegetables, and sometimes nuts as well.
Yes.
But But let's say that sometimes I might make a mistake, or not even a mistake. Maybe sometimes I just crave a second meal that's full of grains. Well, what do I do? Very simple. Like I just drink more water. That's it. Because again, it's about the water content, right? So it's like that. Yeah, it's about that relationship.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the main thing with that too, y'all, and I am very guilty of it a lot too,
Yeah.
is you really gotta have that discipline to say, no, I'm not gonna have that next bite of that donut or whatever it may end up being,
Yeah.
and just drink some water. Cause I agree, because I've noticed when I've decided, yo, I'm not gonna end up eating this, let me just drink some more water, it ends up satiating me, which it helps me feel soothing. I'm like, all right, I'm good, I don't need anything else. Or what I've been doing now that's been helpful for me is, y'all wonder I'm putting this cup up, I've been juicing a lot. So for me personally, I've noticed that not always necessarily eating the fruits and putting them on a plate like raw, whatever they end up being, doesn't always necessarily work for me. It can sometimes turn me off from wanting to eat any type of fruits or vegetables. But now, since I've been juicing, I've just been adding them in different mixtures together, and this has actually been very helpful. And like this has been joyful for me. And that's why some people get into this, is because this is another method they can use to still get their daily value of what they need, but also in this form. And it's not on your plate like you have to force yourself and you just and then you basically create a pattern of adversement. Like you don't want anything of those fruits or vegetables or anything, because it does not necessarily taste good. And the last point I want to make, and then we're going to jump into the last topic for tonight.
Related to the digestion rate, I also do, but I only recommend this for people who don't have any history of eating disorders like anorexia or whatever. So with that caveat, I do intermittent fasting 14 hours a day.
Yeah.
But for me, I do it at night. So like my last meal of the day is between 7 and 8.
Yes.
And then my first meal of the day is around 9 or 10 in the morning. So that means and I sleep around 11 at night, right? And then I wake up around 8. So 9 out of those 14 hours, I'm sleeping anyway. So I'm fine with that, you know.
It makes sense. And that's another method, y'all. See, this is something into the last part.
Yeah.
But one thing I wanted to make, and thank you for adding that, is the cool thing about learning what is nutritious for you and what can work for you, and it may not be the best tasting, is, I don't know if y'all know about the pH scale. I know we've seen it before,
alkaline
the
and
spectrum.
acid,
So the pH scale, y'all, is the potential of hydrogen. But basically what it shows you, a scale from red, which is showing you what is mostly acidic. I'm like over here, red, mostly acidic, all the way to purple, which shows you that it's very alkaline. And you'll be surprised. The foods and the fruits and the vegetables and the things that you eat, it's color coded for a reason. It lets you know how nutritious, how alkaline, or how acidic it is. So even without you knowing, you already can think, okay, an orange, a lemon, and a lime. A lot of these, they're very acidic. They're citrus types fruits. And it's because too, the yellow from the lemons letting you know, like, I'm acidic. This is the color. As well as, even though people say, what about the tomato? It's red, but then it also has in place its parts to let you know that it's not necessarily the only thing that you can go off of. But I will add this point and we'll move to the next thing. Look at the fast food restaurants and places that you eat. Look at the colors of what they use to advertise to you. The main one, and I'm one of the biggest detractors of this one, is McDonald's. What colors do they use? They have the yellow arches. If you look at the scale of potential for hydrogen, yellow is over on the scale of acidic. And then the rest of the logo is red. Red on that scale is the most acidic. So even with the marketing and with the foods and places that you go to get it, the colors are also telling you, if you're not physically getting that, I know this is not good for me, but I just need to eat it because I need something. ultimately, you know that it's not what you necessarily need. And the colors is also letting you know that no, but it's grabbing you towards more because it tastes good. And I'm not saying that we can't indulge here and there when it comes to that. Yes, there's a such thing. But that's where you have to bring in, we're talking about getting this plan and having a balance on your plate, whatever it may end up being. But with that, we could continue on about nutrition. I mean, it's a thing. But now I want to get into the last part. And anyone else, there's another person that wants to jump in, you're more than welcome to jump in on this. Then the last topic that we're going to speak on tonight is learning what your body needs to work effectively. Okay? And yeah, am I back? All right, I'm back. All right.
Yeah, you're back. Yeah.
And Kundan
And
already
even like
spoke
what you
on it.
said
Go ahead.
What you said earlier, like just one more point, just circling back to what you said earlier about mobility, right?
Yes.
And you said there are people who are like 1,000 pounds or whatever, and they need machines to lift them up and move around.
Yes.
It makes me think about the Disney movie, I mean the Pixar movie, Wall-E. You know, you probably remember that. And it's
Yes.
almost like there's an agenda to make us not mobile so that we cannot protest or, you know, fight against oppressive systems and oppression. So think about that too, because along those lines, I think if you're going to have a goal, it's better not to be focused so much on vanity, like weight loss and things like that.
Yeah.
But focus more on like, what do you want to accomplish? Like, do you want to run a marathon? Or do you want to dance better, be more flexible?
Yes.
Do you want to just be able to just walk another half a block or half a mile? You know, like have it be more like, like have it be more on like how much ability you want. And I know that even with that, sometimes there's a lot of, you know, ableism and all of that. But like, given if you are an able-bodied person,
yes,
like how much more like, how much more abilities you want to acquire? Focus more on that rather than, you know, things with vanity goals like weight loss and things like that. That can be easily used to manipulate you psychologically,
yes,
sell you stuff that you probably don't even need, even nutritionally.
Yes. Thank you for adding that point. And to answer, creates. Well, I heard that the color red makes us hungry. I also have heard that.
Yeah, that's color psychology, yeah.
And that's why I was bringing it up, too, with the whole pH scale and things of that nature. Because if you even look at the color spectrum of just regular waves, there's the infrareds all the way to the ultraviolets. Color has an impact on everything. We doesn't everything, but it's a small factor that adds to this. So we can put that into there. Yeah, like I see something red, now I want something to eat. For an animal, for a bull, when they see the color red, that's already something telling them I'm going to attack and strike. So there's different messages that different colors send to us. And this is where you start breaking down the human psyche and all this other different things to learn how all of these different factors can all add up to play to either advertise something to you, manipulate, or persuade you to end up doing certain actions and behaviors. But I haven't looked too much into that, but I mean, there's a wonder, like I said, McDonald's again, some of these places, Chick-fil-A, all these other places, the way that things are color coded, it gives that particular feel and ambiance. Atop on the, of course, the taste as well as the music, all of it hits your senses. Now, getting into that part, now learning what your body needs to work effectively. Now, this is the piece, we was talking about it so much already, Kundan. This is where you bring all those senses together. We were speaking only on the physical. It is very important that you get that nutrition because you're able to fuel your body so that you're able to fuel other parts to work effectively. Now, learning what works for you, there's a few things for you to figure that out. One of the main key indicators to help you figure out and learn what works for your body effectively is notice how your body feels when you either eat or not eat a certain thing, or when you sleep for a certain amount of time, or you deprive yourself of sleep. what ends up happening is, again, we do have all the different chemicals in our bodies that's at play. We have the serotonin, we have the cortisol, we have the epinephrine, we have all these different ones, endorphin, all these other different chemicals that send signals to our body to let us know how things feel, especially the main one, which a lot of people overdo, which is the dopamine and all these other different ones, that these pleasure seekings that lets us know this is something good that we want. But you can tell, and the reason why I use either if it's you're eating something or you're getting this amount or this less amount of sleep, is because it's based off of the feeling. You have to know what your body's doing. So if I go to sleep and I only have slept for 3 hours, I already know when I get up, my body's going to be upset. Like, I can feel it. My eyes are low, like my shoulders and other things are hurting. Like, I'm barely there. So that's how I know that my body's like, yo, I need some more sleep. I should have got a little bit more sleep, but I ended up getting up. So now I know once 10, whatever time I want to go to end up sleep, I need to at least have 6 up to 7.5 hours of sleep in a certain cycle so that I know I can be functioning well when it comes to that. So now I've learned that, yes, sleep is important. We know sleep is important. But when you keep experiencing days where, unfortunately, if you can't get to sleep that long, you have to work long hours, you just got to know that's how you're going to end up feeling. Your body's letting you know you need this. Second, when it comes to particular foods, that's why there's a such thing as we have our appetite and knowing when to continue or to stop eating something. It's that feeling. With a lot of this stuff, it's going to be just based off, you got to know how you feel. Because if you don't have that feeling there, you can continue to do things and overload these things to a point where you can hurt yourself. So it is based off of that first main factor, which is being able to just feel things out, because that's just how it's going to go. So once you're able to figure out how that feeling goes, guess what? That's how you do with all your other different senses, is you going to be able to recognize, okay, now when I'm hearing this particular song or I'm listening to this particular sound, I feel uncomfortable, or this sound is bringing me peace. I'm feeling centered. Now I feel like I can be able to attack and do what I need to do for the day, because now I feel centered and grounded. And that's having to do just based off of what you are listening to or what you're hearing. Other one, also with the smell. We already know when something smell bad, you know how your face is going to look. You know if somebody comes up to you and their breath is hot, and we're not talking about hot in the sense of how they look. We talking about hot as in, once you get a whiff, it feel like some of the nose hairs and your eyebrow hairs is coming off. You know that's unpleasant. So you already feel and know that, yo, this is not it. When you walk past them, you got people who do this. You got people who scrunch up with their face like this. But once again, this is little pieces that's letting you know that for you to effectively get something done, it's like, yo, okay, I don't like that smell. So I'm going to stay away from that smell. Because now it affects all the fact I can start thinking about what I had to get done with for today. Is that particular smell. So the main thing with all of these, and like I said, I can keep going with it a bit more and more, is the main factor is you have to be able to identify that feeling and how these certain things make you feel. So with the physical aspect of nutrition and eating, putting certain foods in and out of your diet, just watch after a while. It's not going to happen the first day. It's not going to happen the second day. It may end up taking gradually 2, 3, possibly a whole month. But notice certain foods that you start to either cut out or you start to do smaller portions of. See how you feel overall when it comes to your body. For those who exercise and those who do go work out, during exercising, you may be feeling a certain way. You may be getting tired and everything else. But when you're done and over with the exercise, and I know for myself, I don't know anybody else, is you get that feeling and that sense of like not only feeling accomplished, but your body, yes, is tired, but you have that feel good hormone, or you have that feeling like you feel good, like I did this, is done. That is how you're able to notice and stuff when it comes to learning what works for your body and what doesn't. Is that you got to be able to capture those things again and know for sure that yes, okay, when I work out, it's going to make me feel this way. But at the end, when I work out, now I want to end up getting something to eat. And for me, it's funny when I work out and I'm done eating, I want to eat some fruits and vegetables, and I'll be getting me an apple like I was doing earlier. I had to make me a whole juice today. Got me some carrots, got me some apples, got a whole grip of this in the mixture, and some spinach. But those are those steps of being able to do it. In the first one, yes, we speak on awareness, but on the feeling, that's where it is. I will go into the next ones, but I want to let Kundan, if you had anything on learning what your body needs to help you work.
Well, I was thinking about even the smell thing is relative, right? Because some people love the smell of fish and shrimp and and even red meat, and I hate. I mean, I'm vegan anyways, but even if I wasn't, I hate especially the smell of fish, right? And certain kinds of shrimp, but some people love it. Like they like I can't. Just like even smoking, for example, right? Some people love smoking and they don't mind coughing, and eventually they get used to it. They don't cough anymore, right? But I hate the smell of, like cigarette smoke, right?
Yes.
And then eventually it becomes what they call an acquired taste, or an acquired smell in this case, where they get used to the smell of the cigarette smoke. So you have to consider that too, like how much of what you think is okay for you is really okay, or it's something you programmed yourself to be okay, when in reality your body doesn't really like it. Like cigarettes is a great example because everybody knows it's bad now. But there are other things that are more subtle where it's not necessarily universally agreed that it's bad, right? But again, that's why you have to really tune into your body, right?
Yes.
And even earlier you were talking about the breath smell. That's kind of universally accepted that's bad. But there's also the sweat, right?
Yeah.
And sweat is kind of like iffy because, in the old days, through the sweat gland, you produce pheromones, right? And that's how people knew, like, with whom to mate. But now, today, with the invention of deodorants and things like that, we've really reduced our natural intuition, the body's intuition about which person's right for us, even in terms of, like, purely the pheromones, things like that. So again, it's that balance, right, to really be aware of that too.
Yes, and the other function that sweating has for us too is that it's expelling a lot of those toxins and other things within us as well too. But yes, to your point, and again, it's all on the individual. That's why you have these nutritional gurus and all these other different facts and strategies you can use. That's why you have to start building what works for you. That's why identifying and knowing the feeling of these things is how it's going to be able to help yourself work effectively. Now, and I got to ask, because got some comments up in here, but the sister says that was me and dairy. My body has felt so much better since I started buying non-dairy cheese and plant-based milks.
That's great.
Because I'm not going to I'm not going to do too many spoilers for people either, too. But as much as and y'all love when it comes to milk and your cheeses and stuff, look it up. Look it up, and you'll find out particularly why it's not necessarily the best for us. The sister already ended up saying how she felt. But I'm not going to give all that stuff because some people will be like, oh, but then now you ruined my whole... You go and look at that so then you can figure out for yourself. Now, do I still eat some of that? Yes. But what I'm doing is, with all of the stuff that you're doing, you have to do it very, very slowly. You do it portioning it out. So if you already know this is something that you eat very frequently, almost if not 7 days of the week or the strength, and you're like, you know what, I'm gonna start doing it less. All right, let me only eat this particular food 5 times.
Yeah,
see how I
watch
feel.
the documentary Cowspiracy. There's something very wrong with the milk produced in the United States and Canada and, the Western world, because they inject the cows with growth hormones to make them produce more milk unnaturally. And what that does is sometimes
GMO.
not only GMO, it's disgusting because the pus from the cow leaks over into the milk.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's why you're having these problems when you drink milk, like she was saying. It's because it's literally disgusting, because the side effects of the over-injecting hormones is that some of the pus, the cow starts producing pus, and it leaks over into the udder and then into the milk.
I didn't say it. Kundan said it for y'all, but that's one of the few things. But
yeah,
that's why the awareness and figuring out what works for you and how you eat it. You're not saying to just drop everything and say, I'm just not going to eat anything. No, you have to be able to find that building point for you to progress and continue on with, y'all. So now another thing, learning what your body needs to work effectively. Now we're talking about, we said a lot of the stuff that your body needs. Now, what do I mean by working effectively? So in this particular case, you brought it up, Kundan, and I got to speak on it earlier as well, is you have to figure out, okay, then what is your objective with your body? What do you want to do with it? If you're an athlete, you know specifically what you're going to end up needing, especially if you're playing either high school, college, or up into the pros. You know there's a certain type of food and a certain type of nutrition that you're going to end up needing. So you know that you're going to have your body close to fit and in shape. You know that's what it is, because that's how you're able to be very skillful in whatever sport that you're in. Now, if it's for just the ongoing, you can say average person, they just want to end up maintaining and just be able to not catch a lot of different diseases when it comes to health-wise, then you're in a part of maintaining, okay? But then how do you want to maintain? Like, what type of body frame? How do you want to be feel? How do you want to be built? So it comes down to how do you want to feel? Basically, is like, besides just what you want to be able to do with your body, is how do you want to feel? Do you want to feel like you're sluggish every time you get up? Or do you want to feel like you have a lot of energy being able to tackle what you need to for the day?
Vibrant, right?
Yes.
Yeah, vibrant and clear-minded.
Because again, we talk about, and I see it happen a lot now. I watch a lot of videos and I'm just observing a lot. We use the word vibe so much. We use the words frequency so much. And we use the words energy so much. But we use it in terms of relationship and other different things. But don't forget, y'all, that to get up and move around, it takes energy. And if you putting in certain type of foods, you're going to get a certain type of energy for a certain amount of time. So back way when I had a homie, and to get his energy for what we were doing, we were playing football, he took a 5-hour energy. Back then, those 5-hour energies were still not in the testing modes, but they were still figuring out their formula. And the issue with those is that you'll have this high amount of energy in a short span of time, but you will have this unbelievable crash. So you have to really know too, not only saying you digging somebody's vibe and you're feeling it this way is, well, how do you want to feel when you get up with your own vibe? Do you want to already
Maybe
want to
they're
wait?
vibing high because they were still on their 5-hour energy, and you think they're a great person. Oh, this person has high vibe, but like they're still in the 2-hour period of the 5-hour energy.
They faking, but that's where you come into, again, what is your motive? What do you want to bring about when it comes to how you want to feel and things of that? And that's where you create your baseline, and that's how you want to ultimately feel and be in your life. So especially another, I think, big thing for some people too is being able to have a family. And you got to think later on down the line, how long do you want to be here? Besides all the other factors that can happen, because on a daily, we risk things. But another factor of thinking of, okay, then will I be able to run around with my children? Will I be able to do all these different activities and things with my children? You have to, or even kids, adopted, whoever may end up being, you want to be able to know, okay, if I want to do that, then I need to at least be adequately healthy in some way, shape, or form. So it all really comes down to not only how you want to feel and how to understand how your body feels, but what do you ultimately want? You have to choose this. Nobody is going to choose it for you. Nobody's going to walk this journey for you. You got to be able to own it and take it for yourself. Because you are you, I am me, Kundan is Kundan. We can have an impact in a way of sharing different tips and things that it may have helped for us, but ultimately, you got to figure out, go through the planning stages, go through the acting stages, go through the results, and then go through the evaluation to figure out, yes, this worked for me, this didn't work for me. And you repeat and you repeat and you do that until you get the results that you want. And yes, this is going to take hard work. And the word I say is a bad word. I'm going to keep saying it, is accountability. It's going to take a lot of those things to be able to learn to know what your body needs and how to do that effectively. But I know the main thing is when you feel good, you ultimately do good.
Yeah, and it's not just what you put in your mouth. Like I read a study a few years ago about how there's a 30% decline, I think, in testosterone in men or in male-bodied people because a lot of the shampoos and the soaps have higher estrogen and things like that. They put in. So it's not just what you put in your mouth, but also what else you put over your body, because those stuff goes through the sweat glands, right?
Yes.
All of that through your scalp, the pores in your body. What are you putting on your skin as well?
Yes.
And so on a related note, sometimes I put essential oils, certain kinds of essential oils, behind my ears in the vagus nerve before I eat to stimulate it, and that helps with digestion. And more recently, I saw this ad. So again, I'm more of an experimental person, so try this at your own risk. I do not recommend it to others. It's only for myself. I tried this. It's called an electrical energy patch, and it sends low level. You stick it again behind your ears, and it sends low level
Pulses.
electrical pulses into your vagus nerve, and you only put it for 5 minutes, and you remove it. And each patch lasts for about twice, and it's only like $5 per patch. And so I thought, I saw an ad on Instagram. I was like, oh, that's really cheap. So I tried it yesterday. I put the patch, and I removed it, and they were claiming that it gives you a lot of focus, and it did. Like I wrote like three new poems last night after putting on the patch, so it was pretty cool.
See, y'all.
Yeah.
And again, that's what it is, sharing these different experiences, because even before too, for some people, another method, like you said, that would work too, intermittent fasting for some folks, that helps with the body to definitely be able to digest. Because look, we spoke on it earlier, the more food that you keep compounding on yourself, I know I keep going back to the food, it's because it's the fuel. Like we can also get fuel from the sun on our skin and things of that nature for certain folks. You can also do that to fuel you too. But if you do not let your system inside of you rest at some point, and you just keep throwing food down there, it's going to be very hard, not only for it to digest, but for it to be able to adequately work and move to where your body needs. If you keep just putting more and more and more and more and not giving a place to a break, because once again, we're not robots. We're literally beings and animals, and there's points and parts where our body needs a break. So you got to be able to provide yourself with that break. For some folks, that's doing that intermittent fasting. Now, when it comes to other things, when knowing how to help your body work effectively too, now since you was talking about scents, I know some people love using essential oils and use diffusers, and or they use other different, you know, types of senses that they'll put it under their nose, and it's supposed to help promote either focus, or it's able to help promote you being either calm and collected, especially those who experience a lot more anxiety or other type of feelings of, you know, just being just jittery and nervous. That's for, you know, the smelling. I mean, when it comes to all the other senses, like we were speaking on before, we do digest with every single one. And it is very important to be careful of what you are nourishing yourself with, not only what you hear, what you see, what you smell, what you taste, you touch, and everything, because those are other factors that play with it. But I like talking about the food because that's something too that we can initially begin to work on, because when you fill yourself with what you need to help push you further, then it has an ultimate effect of now, okay, I'm thinking a little bit more clearly. Now I'm able to be like, okay, I may not necessarily like what I'm hearing here. It just helps to overall promote, you can say, a higher frequency, a higher vibe that you're feeling. And if you want to go back to colors again, y'all, look at the frequency spectrum again. We got the red to the purple. So if you're able to put yourself in that space of, now I'm eating this, now I'm thinking this, now I'm doing this. Even the chakras, again, the chakras have those colors too. Y'all look that up. Literally, as you continue to push further, you're helping your body to revolve and really just grow and get better, because there's certain, and I don't remember all the particular times and points, but your body is always regenerating itself in certain areas. I think it takes up to like 30 days, if not a little bit longer, and you have a whole new complete like setup of skin and everything else. So what you eating, what you listen to, what you're getting, all is adding on top of that fact of now I'm a new person. That's why it's funny when you want to say, well, I don't feel that certain way anymore about a topic or something, is, well, basically because you'll know a whole new composition of yourself because of what you went through and you've gotten out. What's going on? I see you in, brother. Yes, the great hype sun was going on. So
Sue was saying that the essential oils help you lose weight and your body feels lighter. I don't know which one it was, but okay.
Yes,
That
it
sounds
says,
great,
yeah, it
though.
makes my body feel lighter at the end of the day, as opposed to being weighed down by food. I feel it. That's why, once again, that's why in this last part is so key, is learning what works for you, what your body needs for you to work effectively. So we're just giving you these ideas, but knowing that you have that, it starts with that feeling. So feel that. So know what feels good for you and what ends up working for you, and then create that plan. We talk about nutrition plan again, of knowing, okay, what maybe it's a cultural factor. Maybe it has to end up doing like with what your plan is. If you're an athlete or whatever it is, all we're doing is we're speaking on, telling you about, yes, it's important. This is something you want to look into to be able to push forward with it. But all it really comes down to at the end of the point is, are you willing to do it? That's all I'm going to end up saying. Are you willing to put in the time and effort to do so? What do you want to end up feeling like 3, 4, 5, 10 years from now when it comes to this? Because you're doing not only yourself a service of taking hold of your life with not only your health, but overall health, because this goes mental, spiritual, physical, like the brother is saying down there. You literally are going to be doing a service for whoever you come across, because this also ultimately goes into your plans, your goals, what your life legacy and things that you want to leave behind. And it all does start from you and within, and what you want to end up doing. It's like, you gotta really take that into consideration. So ultimately, to help learn your body work effectively, I definitely always say start with nutrition, especially because you can work out as much as you want, but if you're not eating right and you're not giving what your body needs from those different nutrients, from those 6, whether if it's the fats, if it's the vitamins, the minerals, the water, the protein, all of those that you're adding. The carbohydrates was the last one. You are not able to set yourself up for every other aspect of your life. That's it. That's really what I'm saying with this. If you have anything else,
Yeah, I was just saying, look up back to the vagus nerve stimulation too, because it is connected to your gut. So I use essential oils, and sometimes I use the electrical stimulation. This one takes only 5 minutes and it lasts 4 hours. But even without the extra stimulation, you can even just stimulate it with your hands, with your own fingers, and even that can work sometimes.
yeah,
Even that can go. It's better than nothing. So I highly recommend that. And as well as other spots on your body, look up somatics and things like acupuncture or acupressure. You can stimulate here as
yes,
well. Especially this helps with the sinuses as well.
yes,
Removing the sinuses. Stimulating here can help you with sleep as well as here. So yeah, look at those as well, because that's part of the physical nutrition, but instead of food, it's the other senses, like you're saying, right?
yes,
So look those up too. Like take a holistic approach.
yes. Again,
Yeah.
that's why there's holistic medicines and people in all these different areas, because we know the body, or have learned the body, and we know the science behind. Again, I say everything works in coordination with itself, because of the fact you just said that. Like, literally, I can use my hands to do this to help with certain things and certain bodies to help me calm down, relax. Every part of your body, everything has a part to play. Now it's just knowing those resources and using them, y'all. But with that, y'all, let me go ahead and we're going to do the wrap up. And then we're going to have it in for today. And I have just one announcement for y'all at the end. But to wrap up, y'all, when it comes to current events and knowing what's going on around you, just make sure that you are taking the time to be aware and do your research to know what is going on in and around you, whether if it is for your benefit or if it's not for your benefit, or for your community's benefit or not, all of that together. Just make sure you are up to knowing what is going on. 2, when it comes to nutrition, first part is basically coming up with that plan, is basically knowing, okay, what do you already start off eating with? Build from there. What does it have a cultural impact on me? And where can I find other resources? Add those into there and notice the small gradual steps in how your nutrition and food can work for you in that aspect. And then lastly, learning what your body needs to work effectively. First thing starts off with knowing that feeling. How does certain things make you feel when you do it? Does it make you feel good? Does it make you feel bad? Does it make you feel groggy? Whatever it may end up being, identify that, work around it, do activities that help to promote how you want to feel, whether if that is intermittent fasting, it can be meditating, that can end up being using different resources to help with either the smells, whatever sense it is, because at the end of the day, your body is a system. It works together to help you, and to help promote holistic health, you got to be able to not only just attract and work with one aspect of your body, but all different parts, and know how they can work together. But other than that, y'all, I've been your brother Avis. This has been Kundan. This has been What's the Word Wednesday, Season 2, Episode 16. We'll catch y'all next time. And the last announcement I have for you is that this Friday, the Booth, which is myself and the brother Sabu, are dropping our first project, EP, titled Welcome to the Booth. So it's going to be on all streaming platforms. Look on that for Friday. But other than that, y'all, peace and one love. Until next time, until next Wednesday, stay tuned, and we'll see y'all.
All right.
Peace.
And love.